Welcome to Messier Mantra. I'm your host, Mike Messier. It gives me a special honor to introduce my guest this week on Messier Mantra. He's a return guest. He's a filmmaker. He's done many TV shows himself, sports specials, and he's got a very special story to tell about overcoming adversity, especially with health, and very important stuff. Billy V, thanks for coming back.
Mikey, thank you so much, brother. Great to see you as always, buddy.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to do an hour show, and let's just tell the people, because you were here a couple of years ago. In fact, your image is actually on the Seekong TV9 homepage of the website, because there's a little clip of me and you talking.
Nice, nice.
Just about 2 years ago. And but something's happened with you that you've overcome. You're in the grips of the fight, but just tell us about it in your own words. What's going on?
You talk about a fight, Mike. I got blindsided, so to speak. I was getting ready, as you remember. I hurt myself with my knees.
Yeah.
I was supposed to have knee surgery coming up this past January that just went by. And what happened was I was going for testing, and I said, well, before I go for my knee replacement, I wanted to have my left side. They found a spot on my pancreas about 4 years ago, and it always plays in the back of my mind. And I said, do me a favor, before I go for the surgery, send me for an MRI. He said, you don't need it. I said, your blood work is great, your liver enzymes are great. He says, you don't need it. I said, please, do me a favor, just give me peace of mind, please, and send me for an MRI. And they said, really, you don't need it? I said, just send me. And then finally, when I put my foot down, they sent me. Don't you think, sure enough, I went for the MRI, I come back, they said, everything's great as far as in my pancreas, but they found spots on my liver. And the spots on my liver would happen to be growing.
Right.
And all of a sudden, now that put a whole new twist into things from going for my knee surgery. I had to go have a biopsy done on my liver to see what's going on. And sure enough, as far as at that time itself, they came back that it was cancer.
Right.
And then I got word on New Year's Eve, which you talk about great timing.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
what a way to end the year and begin a new one, huh?
Yeah, what a way to place in my life, the rest of my life, my New Year's Eves, as far as being heard that I have cancer. And that totally blew me away.
Right.
It totally blew me away. My whole life turned upside down immediately. Because when you hear that word, it's something like nobody wants to hear. You don't want to face it. You don't want to deal with it. But at the same time, it's something you can't run from. But I didn't know where to turn. And the first call I made was to Dr. DiNucci, Tommy DiNucci, which, I worked with as far as in the past as a director. But his dad.
Yep.
Because
great guy.
Great guy. At the same time, he's like a father figure to me. And at the same time, he's a doctor. And I just didn't know what to do. So coincidentally, one of his associates I go see for my gastrointestinology took me right in. He said, listen, we're going to do as far as endoscopy down the throat, colonoscopy up the bottom, and just to make sure those are clear and to try to figure out where this is coming from. They take step by step. We're going to get through this. So that's what we did. They got me in a matter of 2 days later after the first, it was the 3rd of January, and I had those tests done. Those came back negative. But the fact of the matter is the time was ticking because the fact is I had 3 spots. And Dr. DiNucci was afraid they didn't want to metastasize. They were still self-contained spots. One was about 2 inches, and then there was 3 smaller ones that they saw on the bottom of the liver. So if that would have metastasized, that would have spread and made it even more difficult to treat. It would have spread throughout my body. So I'm working against the time clock, trying to find doctors. I interviewed doctors at Rhode Island Hospital. I interviewed doctors at Roger Williams Hospital, and I interviewed doctors at Dana-Farber. Finally, I ended up at Dana-Farber. And then February 1st, I was operated on. And at that point in time, as far as in between that, I had to do wills. Right. I had to do trust. I had to give stuff I worked so hard for away. And then all of a sudden, the fear of phobia, like what's going to go on with my life? Am I going to live? Am I going to die? Am I going to suffer?
Right.
My whole life was a shambles, Mike. It was a total shambles. I was very fearful. But I went through the surgery. And as far as I came home in 4 days, I came home on the 5th of February, and I'll never forget when I went back on the 12th of February, my first question was, to the doctors, okay, am I terminal?
Right.
I want to know, am I dying? I don't know what was going on. They looked me in the eye and they said, No. I says, okay, so what are my chances here of beating this? And they looked at me, my mother was sitting right there, and at the same time they said 50-50. And I said, 50-50? You're talking to the wrong guy here. Yeah, unbelievable. I go 90-10, my favor. It's 50-50. And that knocked the wind right out of me.
Yeah.
Because it's something I didn't know how to control, not unless I could control, because I'm fighting my own body.
Right.
And I went home that night. After I left there, I was very depressed, and it knocked the wind out of me. And sure enough, I had to try to absorb that. And 2 days later, I get a call that a friend of mine went out to dinner with his wife. And when he did, he came home with indigestion, didn't feel too good, went to sleep. Next morning, he got up. And funny enough itself, as far as his wife asked me, "You want breakfast?" And he said, "No, I'm going back to bed." And he died.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that put a whole new awakening into my life to make me realize that 50-50 wasn't too bad, because he didn't have a chance to say goodbye or write his story the way he wanted to write it.
Gotcha.
As far as he didn't have a chance to say, hey, one more time, let me go back and tell somebody I love them, or let me say to somebody I may have disgruntled arguments with, I'm sorry, let's make this up.
Right.
So that brought my life into a clear focus. And then what happened was, at that point there, it made me realize and started putting me on the journey of what life is really all about. Then I had to start chemotherapy. Chemotherapy, I had to do it for 6 months. And as I sit here right now, I got 9 days left.
Well, you'll get through it. Let me ask you, Billy V. Chemotherapy is a term that a lot of people have heard. I know I have. And it's like you can't even wrap your head around it. What I think of as people losing their hair. And what can you go into? I know it's tough, but can you talk about chemotherapy and what that entails?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, first of all, when I heard the words chemotherapy, I didn't want to do it.
Right.
I had a choice if I wanted to do it or not. And I called Dr. DiNucci and I said, listen, Doc, we're going to talk man to man, off the record, which I could talk to him that way. And I said, listen, I need to ask you a question. If this was your son, Tommy, or your wife, or yourself, what would you do? He said, Billy, listen, I'd do it. He said, you're going to war. You got to bring the big guns.
Right.
And unfortunately, you need the big guns right now. Okay. So I give you my total endorsement to do it. And he pushed me over the edge to do it. Fortunately enough, they have chemotherapy where I was taking pill form.
Okay.
So I was taking 5,000 milligrams per day.
Right. 5
pills in the morning, 5 at night. And instead of having a port stuck in my body and having that to deal with on top of it, I went to the pill form. I got to be honest with you, it rocks the shit out of you, buddy.
Yeah.
Your head's distorted, you're lightheaded, you feel very uncomfortable. Your hands get so sensitive. I'll tell you a funny story, Mike. I used to be able to bench 510 pounds.
Wow.
And I used to squat 750 pounds with my legs.
Right.
I was in the shower trying to open the shampoo bottle, and I couldn't do it because my nails were so sore from the chemotherapy, they would bend back and break. And I would sit in the shower, I'd have tears in my eyes.
Right.
And saying, why? Well, why me? Why is this happening to me? And what's going to go on? And overcoming that and realizing all of a sudden that I was in for the fight of my life.
Yeah.
And honestly, you learn to realize that through all of this, that in the end, you ain't taking nothing with you, Michael.
Right.
You know, I've been very fortunate. As you know, I collect automobiles, I have cars, I have homes, I have money. I've been lucky. I'm a lucky kid. We're a kid that started with nothing, that I have stuff.
Yeah.
But in the end of it all, I'll tell you, as I was going through this, I got a call from a friend of mine's father that had prostate cancer. And he said, listen, it's spread into my liver. Can I get into your doctor to see your doctor at Dana-Farber? And I said, I'll make the appointment. I'll get you in there. I got him in there. He went there. He was at the Veterans Administration for treatment. And funny enough itself, he went there, see him, came back, went back to the VA. The VA put him on chemo. He lasted 2 weeks. I got a call, as tired as I was, that he was in hospice. I got up from my bed, as tired as I was. I made it to the hospital, and I prayed with his son and his daughter. And as I was praying for that man, and I was rubbing his shoulder and talking to him in his ear, and his legs started to move. And I said to his kids, I said, just so you know, your father can hear you.
Right.
And I want you to make peace and tell this guy whatever you want to tell him right now, you tell him, because he's still alive.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I said, I want you to look around this room. Because right now, for this moment, this is all he's taking with him.
Right.
He ain't taking his favorite watch. He ain't taking a pocket full of money. He's not taking his cars, his houses. He's with a Johnny on. And that's it. That's all he's going with. And that's what reality is all about. At that point in time, I prayed with them, I cried with them, and I left there realizing that in reality of life and what this whole essence of this universe of what we fight for, struggle for, and we go through these ups and downs, and people get destroyed by as far as dealing with all these problems and think they're monumentous, but in reality they mean nothing. Because in the end, the only one you're going to be with is the Maker.
Right.
You ain't taking none with you.
Yeah.
When you're dead, you're dead. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And I learned to make peace with that, and that's what I do now. I pray 40 minutes in the morning, and before I even get out of bed, and I ask him to bless me at the same time with a variety of other things. And I tell him, listen, it's in your hands. It's your will, not mine, will be done. I'm just going to carry the message through for the day. Just bless me through it. And ever since I've been through this, Michael, I have to tell you, it hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
I had skin peel off my feet, skin peel off my hands. Chemotherapy, it's actual poison. That's what it's doing. It's killing you.
Right.
It kills everything inside you.
Right.
As far as it's supposed to help cure you. As crazy as it may sound. You know, you lose your
Fighting
appetite.
fire with fire type of
Yeah,
psychology.
I mean, I lost 29 pounds.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, through all of this, at the same time, it's not the greatest diet in the
It's
world.
the hard way, yeah. It's,
you know,
it's not Tybo with Billy Vines
right.
in the 80s, right? It's not the Jane Fonda workout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No Jane Fonda workout, no Gene Simmons, yeah, man. But,
right.
But it's a whole new understanding of life, from way of eating, to as far as the foods you take in, but even more so your faith. You got to have a very positive, optimistic attitude, and you have a lot of chances to get depressed, and that's why I became so close to the Lord, because through this most difficult time in my life, it's been the most richest and purest and most rewarding time of my whole life, if I can ever make sense out of that.
I can hear you.
I found out who my real friends are.
Right.
People that call me and says, hey, you need anything. Can I come by and see you? It's beautiful. I got actual prayer beads from people in New York. I got prayer cards from people out of state. I had people send me food from Florida.
Wow.
As far as from restaurants locally, just to make sure I ate. I have friends that call me and they prayed with me, cried with me. It's an amazing, amazing thing. And it made me realize, and you know what, Mike? Instead of getting caught in the hustle and bustle, I take every moment and savor it. Because before I was so wrapped up in trying to get ahead,
right.
I'd no sooner get to one goal, I was on to the next without feeling what I already just successfully accomplished.
Enjoying the moment. Yeah.
Right, I never enjoyed the moment because I had to get to the next goal. Now I enjoy every second, every minute, every conversation, and I savor it, and it's more rewarding, and I hear the people that are talking to me, and I actually have real communication.
Right.
And I thank the Lord for all of that. Because without going through the suffering, I would have never learned what this is really all about. And I would have missed it.
Right.
And some people never get it. And that's why, and we were talking earlier, I say, you know, every day is a gift.
Right.
Every day. And that's why they call it the present.
You know what? For those that are, let's just share some of the photographs of your recent life. You know, like just some photographs that you brought. You sent over Cody and Kevin in the studio there to share these photographs because you've had some great life experiences. Who's this?
Those are the loves of my life. That's my son and my grandson.
Yeah.
Tell you a story. I went to see them in North Carolina 2 weeks ago, and before I went, the doctor set me for an MRI.
Right.
Which was a big thing because it was going to tell if the cancer was still inside me, if it spread, if it hasn't. I went for the MRI. I didn't tell them I was having the MRI. So I went to North Carolina with that premise, and I said, Doc, listen, do not call me, do not bother me, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. I want to just enjoy my time with my children.
Okay.
My son, I'm very proud of him. He's a warrant officer with the U.S. Army at Fort Bragg. My daughter-in-law, she's a sergeant major at West Point.
Wow.
She's retiring. They just built a beautiful house out in North Carolina. I went out there. That picture of that fish, the fishing trip, was real exciting because that day we went fishing. I said, okay, whoever catches the most fish gets $100.
Right.
Never thinking. When I went fishing when I was a kid, right, I caught maybe 2 fish, maybe 3.
Right.
We caught 31 fish. It's like, you kidding? 31 fish. My grandson, coincidentally so, caught 13. My son caught 11, and I caught 7. But I caught the biggest one of the day. I caught an actual 19-inch, 6-pound largemouth bass.
Right.
So I had a little bit of bragging rights. But the best part about that week was not only the times that we shared was very beautiful. At the end of the week, I sat them all down. I said, shut the TV off. Dad needs to talk to you. And they said, what's the matter, Dad? I said, listen, I want you to understand something and hear me. I thank you for an incredible week. Just the love and the things we did, from making homemade macaroni, to going fishing, to just spending time together, was priceless. I want you to know how much your father loves you. I didn't tell you, but Dad went for an MRI. And I'm going home tomorrow, and I don't know what I'm facing. I don't know if it's worse, if it's spread, if I have to go for more surgeries, if I have to take more medication. But for this moment, right now in time, I wanted to stop and you just feel the love that Dad has for you, and just know it. We cried together, we hugged together, we understood what we were doing. That night went by, I came home.
Yeah.
I landed in Logan, I came back. I had to go back to Boston the next day because that was my doctor's appointment to find out my destiny. I went there, doctor said, hey, how was your trip? I said, listen, I had a blast. I had a blast, the time of my life. And he says, listen, I have some great news for you. He said, I just want you to know you're cancer-free. I just stood up and I started crying like a baby.
Wow.
There is a God. You got to be just in tune with his messages. It's so important. People go through life never feeling it. I felt alone through this journey. I've been depressed, but I never felt alone because I know the Lord is always with me.
Yeah.
And the more you need him and the more you cry out for him, the more he will provide for you. I used to hate you going to church, but I learned so much about my faith. I learned so much about the love. My son is, and my daughter-in-law, my grandson are my loves of my life. Along with my daughter, I have a beautiful daughter, Victoria. I love to death, and she's tougher than my son. But that's the most important things in life, that you learn to realize what really counts.
Right.
You know, I used to go through life fighting and earning and this and that, and just thinking it was all about trying to get ahead. And, you know, listen, some people never get there.
Right.
So if you're going to take that shot, I'd rather enjoy every moment and just know, God forbid I got cut short, that I got a chance to live it my way. And that's when they told me I was cancer-free. I was mad when I first got diagnosed with cancer, because I said, I'm not going to be able to finish my story the way I wanted to write the end of it.
Right.
I was really upset by that, because I've done some great things in my life, between film acting, between working with celebrities, between being a regular, ordinary kid doing extraordinary things. And I wanted to write the story and go out the happy, loving, caring way I always wanted to go out.
Right.
And when they told me I had cancer, I didn't have that chance, Mike. So then when they told me I'm cancer-free, I knew there's a God. And I made a commitment to myself, between my relationship with him and that I'm going to write a story, the ending of the Billy V life, like nobody's ever seen. And that's why I believe nothing's impossible. The only difference is how bad you want it, and I thank God for that.
Let's check out some more photos, Billy.
Sure.
I know we got. What's your son's name? Do you want to share?
Jonathan.
Okay. This is Bruce. Your buddy Bruce.
This is my man Buster.
Buster. Okay.
Yeah, Buster there, Bruce associated me as far as just fooling around. Let's look at being gangster.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna mess with these guys. Let's check out the next one. This is from.
That was a great one. I died 3 times. That's from Army of the Damned. That's that Tommy DiNucci character, friend of ours. As far
right.
as
He directed
he
this.
says, listen, you know what's special to me about that film. And I'll tell you, you know, as actors, you know, people getting out there. When he first called me up and said, Billy, listen, I got a part. I want you to think about playing. And I said, what's that? He says, I want you to play as far as a SWAT guy, along Tony Todd.
Right.
And your name is Beefcake. Beefcake. And he sends me the script. And there's not a boatload of lines. But there was a boatload of action.
Right.
I'm in the whole second half of the movie with Tony Todd running side by side.
Candyman.
But yeah, exactly. He's a horror icon,
right.
you know? But what made that more special was the fact of the matter is that I got to do things I normally would never be able to do.
Sure.
Died 3 times like that there. I'll tell you a funny story. I got that ugly, but there's a step after that. My eyes turned black. But what makes that unique is that I had to take 2 seltzers, water with the blood capsule.
Right.
And I said to Sam behind the camera and Tommy, I said, listen, when I lay down, you don't want to miss the shot because when I come up, there's no way I'm going back and doing this a second time. So when I came up, I sat up, I spit right into the camera, and that's what you got there.
Oh, boy.
That's me coming back from the dead one time. So that was special. Army of the Damned.
Let's see what we got next. There we go.
There,
Army of the Damned
yeah, that's the
DVD menu.
DVD.
Yeah. And that's you and Tony Todd. Here you go, Self-Storage.
Self-Storage. That's one of Tommy DiNucci's first films.
With Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts. I
yourself.
play side by side with Jonathan Silverman and David Gere and Nick Principe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fun time. That was at Rock and Shock. We were signing autographs for 2 days.
Worcester, Mass.
Worcester, Mass, right?
Yeah. Tony and yourself.
That's me and Tony Todd. Yeah, rolling in on the Hummer.
I think he was in another movie called The Inkwell, which is pretty good.
You know what's so funny? You talk how great this business is. I'm sitting home. I'm watching the movie The Rock.
Oh yeah.
You ever see it?
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. But I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and then I see as far as 3 guys I acted with. I see William Forsythe.
Right.
I see as far as Tony Todd.
Yeah.
And then I see David Moss.
Okay.
I said, wow, this is great. 3 guys I acted with in the same movie. It was pretty cool. I wish I was in the movie.
Let's see the next one. This is Ben Affleck.
There he is, Ben Affleck. That's funny enough. That was from the movie The Town.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. That was a great movie. You ever see that movie?
I have, and he directed that as well, right? So
He directed it as well.
yeah.
It was great that, he knows what he wants to get out of you, but Ben was a lot of fun to work with, but I tell you, Jeremy Renner was just starting out then. He was like a kid in a candy store. After all the scenes, he was always playing around, frolicking around.
Right.
But I got a nun's mask from that movie. If you remember, they used to wear the nun's mask.
Yeah.
They were ugly.
Yeah.
But they were awesome. I love them. I put it up in my house. My company says, are you crazy? What's with the ugly nun mask? It says, reminds me of the show. So.
Let's see what we got next.
That was from the red carpet premiere of Vault.
Yeah.
And that's William Forsythe.
Yeah.
And that's Sean Ringgold. Sean Ringgold. And funny enough, Channel 10 wanted to do an interview. And so I said, I was in a little crazy mood that night. I was in a great mood.
Sure.
I grabbed the microphone from the reporter. I said, let me show you how to do the interview.
That's good. That's funny. He was in a movie called Weeds. Now, this is a cool picture. What's this from?
Oh, that's from Killing Khan.
Yeah.
And that's that was a scene as far as I'm doing a little torture scene there. It's actually in the back room of a place that we kidnap. She's a hostage, and I'm just about to get into it. It looks like a little bondage there with the ropes are wrapped around. These are not home movies.
Joe Namath.
That's my other side of my life.
Yeah, because you were a big sports guy in Rhode Island.
I own a company called Good Sports and Entertainment. I used to do a TV show, as you know, Billy V Sports Legends. Right. In my sports marketing company, I used to represent a lot of these athletes doing high-end celebrity events all around the country. And my business partner, was Jim McMahon from the Chicago Bears. And this is at Joe Namath's golf tournament. Yep. And that's Deacon Jones, 2 Hall of Famers, legends of the game. Yeah. So that was some great times right there, boy.
Nice. And Candyman once again, Tony Todd.
There he is.
I always call him the Candyman because I have his Candyman action figure in my car.
I got one.
Yeah,
I got one.
It's like a McFarlane action figure. It's really
Absolutely.
Good. This is a good show of strength. You get Theo, you get Tommy DiNucci, you got B. Dolan on the far left, and you're right in the middle with the hat.
Yeah, there's John Fiore over my shoulder.
Yeah.
There's William Forsythe, and there's
Eric Lutz on the far right.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Eric. And then there's the young prince.
Sure.
Tom DiNucci.
Yeah, with the tie. Looking good.
Look at him with his haircut and tie.
Now this is interesting. The next photo, because I'm actually listening to his audiobook, 10 Rings, Yogi Berra, and that's you with Yogi.
Listen, I got to know Yogi Berra, his wife Dale, her name was, his son's name was Dale.
Yeah.
They're beautiful people. I'll tell you a quick story.
Sure.
On this day, my grandfather grew me up. My father died when I was 8 years old. And funny enough itself, my grandfather was a working slob. He supported 5 people in his household.
Right.
And when he went to work, he worked 40 years, brown bagged it. But when he went to Yankee Stadium and bought tickets, the people were this big. That's where he sat, way out in the bleachers somewhere. So being as far as knowing that, and I'm interviewing Yogi Berra this day, I said to my grandfather, I said, listen, I'm taking you to breakfast, never knowing that I'm going to interview Yogi Berra.
Right.
So we go to the Holiday Inn at the Crossings, and he walks in, and I said, come on, Pop, let's go. I walk into a room, and they got it set up as a studio. I got my camera set up. The Providence Journal's there doing a story on me, Steve Krasner that day. And my grandfather goes like this in Italian, hey, get guts. Like, in other words, what's going on over here?
Right.
I said, listen, before we go eat breakfast, sit over there in the corner. I gotta go do I gotta do a couple of commercials. I walk out, I said, I'll be right back. I'm going to the bathroom. Little did he know, I went and met Yogi in the lobby.
Right.
And I'm gonna escort him into the room. So I said to him, I said, Yogi, you gotta do me a favor today. I took my grandfather, at the time he was 74 years old. He loves you. I says, I'm gonna go let you walk in. You go to the oldest guy in the place and go, hey, Angelo, what are you doing here? So we walk in, everybody's like, sees Yogi. I look over, my grandfather's like this.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Yogi walks up to him, hits him on the shoulder, goes, hey, Angelo, what are you doing here? What do you think he does, Mike?
He smiles. And...
No, he looks up, goes like this. Goes back to sleep. I went, wait a minute. He went back to sleep. All of a sudden, it must have hit him. It was Yogi Berra.
Yeah.
You know when you got like a subconscious stoop around when you're half of the days? He jumps up. He starts going, Yogi, oh, I love you, Yogi. Let me tell you about the time you played under the alias Joe Cruzano, Cranston Stadium. They go on for 25 minutes of conversation.
Wow.
I let him tear it up with him. All of a sudden, I said to him, Pop, listen, I love you. I hope you had a great time. But Yogi gets $20,000 for 4 hours. That's a $4,000 actual conversation. So I got to get to work now. So make a long story short, I did the show.
Yeah.
I was in the paper. They did a half a page on me, a story on me, but what even more so was more special than anything else. I got a great picture that hangs in my house. My grandfather in the middle, Yogi Berra on one side, me on the other, and I wrote on the back, Pop, you're the true star of my life.
Wow. What a great story.
So yeah, Yogi's special to me, very.
Let's see the next photo here. Oh, this is a good one. This is
That's
intense.
Killer Khan. I was getting ready to put a few people to sleep there. And as far as you can see the expressions by the guys in the back there and the guy with that ski mask on in the summer.
Yeah.
We know we're not in Killington, Vermont.
Right.
And as you can see, the cameraman's underneath me, but that's Killer Khan. I play the Russian spy Ivan.
Interesting.
Directed by J.R. Hepburn. That was a fun little shoot.
Yeah. Let's check out. Here we go.
Now this was special. I'll tell you a story. This is from The Fighter.
Yeah.
The movie The Fighter. And funny enough itself, I play 2 roles in that movie.
Okay.
I play a Lowell police officer in a scene when Mark Wahlberg walks in and Mickey O'Keefe, the cop, is playing himself, and I'm sitting right behind them, and he comes in and says, hey, it ain't him, it's his brother. So I play a Lowell police officer. So they get done doing that shoot, and you talk about how anything can happen in this business. Funny enough, David O. Russell, the director, sits right next to me. So he says to me, he asks me, he says, wow, you're a big kid. I was pretty big at the time. I was pretty jacked. And he says, so what do you want to do? He's talking to me, Dave. You know, the very seldom do the directors talk to me.
Right.
David O. Russell's a very flamboyant director. He's totally out of the box. I says, what I want to do, I want to be an actor. He says, you want to be an actor? He says, are you crazy? This business is a tough business, and plus it's a crazy business. You sure you want to be an actor? I said, I want to be an actor. He says, really? He says, Keith, come over here. His assistant calls his assistant over. His assistant comes over. He says, Keith, is Kevin coming back? He broke his foot next week to do that scene, the prison scene, the search scene, the nude search scene with Christian Bale. He says, I don't think so. He says, okay. He looks at me, he says, grabs me by the face like this.
Right.
He says, listen to me. Go to a wardrobe, go get fitted. Go to, as far as makeup, go get a shave. He says, get your hair cut. I'll see you Thursday. You're going to be an actor. I don't know what this guy's talking about.
Right.
I thought he was stoned, right? Crazy. Sure enough, Thursday comes. I show up at the prison, Bill Ricker State Prison. I am already played a Lowell police officer.
Right.
Now I'm playing a Bill Ricker State Prison guard.
Wow.
I show up, waiting. I'm doing a scene in the yard. And Christian Bale's running around. All of a sudden, the guy calls my name. Billy V! I go forward. Guy to the left is the kid Kevin that had a broken foot. He flies all the way in from California with a broken foot because he wasn't going to miss the same opportunity I did.
Right.
Now I said, oh, what the frig?
Yeah.
David O. Russell, Sophia, he made us both do the lines.
Oh, okay.
And in this scene, as far as I'm doing a strip search scene with Christian Bale,
Right.
the funniest thing is, as far as the line was, as far as look forward to seeing your HBO movie tonight. But I really wanted to say to him, because as you know, Christian very seldom breaks character. But I said to him afterwards, after he pulled his pants down, and I'm looking at the crack of his,
Sure.
and I says, time out. Christian, do you know what you're going to do to my career? Can you picture this in 10, 15 years? On Jeopardy, they're going to say, okay, question, Batman. Who checked out Batman's out?
Right.
And the answer is going to be, who is Billy V?
Who is Billy V? Yeah.
So he started laughing and make a
Wow.
long story short. So that's real special because on top of it, he won an Academy Award for that.
Yeah.
That
in his
movie.
ass. Yeah.
So whoever thought, not for his ass, he won for his performance, but whoever thought, to be able to work with him.
As
and win
Mickey
the-
Ward, right? The boxer?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I know
great
Mickey
film.
personally.
Let's say his fights on HBO were great with, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but what's this one from?
That's Killing Khan. That's
Yeah.
Killing
You got my
Khan
buddy
once again.
Jose
That's
Gonzalez
another
on the far
angle.
left, yeah.
That's Jose Gonzalez. As you know, he's went on to do quite a few things.
Yeah.
He plays the Khan in this, and then there's I forget her name, Michelle, I think it is. Pretty girl.
Yeah.
And as you can see on my face, I'm not too happy because I got to
No.
end up giving her quite a beating. But
Yeah.
but
There we go. Now there's a classic.
this is classic as far as I've been special to me. I've been with The Sopranos 6, 7 times.
Yeah.
I kicked myself in the ass. I wasn't acting when these guys were on TV.
Right.
Because I would have definitely had a chance to be on this show. But I got to know Jimmy Gandolfini. I've been with him 6, 7 times, funny enough itself. And we got to talk. And we used to get a big kick out of it because we played blackjack together.
Yeah.
And he's telling me one night we're playing, and people going, Tony, Tony, Tony.
Right.
He's laughing. He goes under his breath. He goes, hey, V, everybody's calling me Tony. Don't they understand my name is Jimmy? You know what I mean? So he's just a regular guy, and unfortunately his life was cut really short.
Yeah.
But they're doing a big thing coming up. Mike Mata, I'll give him a plug because in November 23rd and 24th at the Meadowlands, they're doing the Soprano Con. It's the 20th anniversary of The Sopranos.
Yeah, and there's going to be a movie.
They're doing a documentary. They'll be in town in the next couple of weeks with John Fiore, Armin Garrow, a few guys, and Frank Santarelli. They're doing a documentary, filming some of it out here.
Yeah. And I think
they're doing a prequel too. The Sopranos.
Gandolfini's son is playing the same character of Tony
Right.
Soprano.
But
Yeah.
this was special because, as you know, they were hotter than a firecracker, and at the same time,
yeah.
just to get near them, nonetheless get to know them was
That was
great.
must-see viewing on Sunday nights on HBO.
She's a hot shit, Lorraine Bracco.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me tell you something. She's like one of the guys.
Yeah.
So they had an incredible mixture of cast there. So
Let's see what we got next. Yeah.
it's me and Bale again.
Yeah.
That's part of my one of my events I did for the casino here, as far as in the good sports and entertainment.
Franco, not
No.
James, what's the far left? Franco Harris.
That's Franco Harris, the Immaculate Reception.
Jim McMahon. Yeah.
Jim McMahon. That's the quarterback for the New England Patriots. Steve Grogan.
Right.
And that's Troy Brown, wide receiver for
Yeah.
the Patriots.
Wow.
Yeah, that was one event. I brought the 4 in, sign autographs, take pictures, kiss babies.
Quite a lineup. Quite a lineup. Quite a lineup.
Yeah,
And
you're
I
not
remember
kidding.
McMahon used to wear that Roselle headband.
Listen, there's no other way you want to make money. That event itself, as far as you work 4 hours, made $60,000.
Wow. I mean, you were ahead of your time because you were doing these autograph signings with the celebrity athletes way ahead of all these conventions and stuff.
Well, I not so much didn't get involved with the autographs. What happened was I started with radio.
Right.
I had an actual sports store called Billy V Sports Collectibles.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find a unique way to market the business. And I said, what am I going to give me an advantage? And one guy approached me about doing radio, WICE. And at that point in time, they offered me the prime location. I was the pregame show to the New York Yankees.
Right.
So I said, how am I going to make this interesting? Because to see sports cards, you got to look at them. And this is radio. You can't see them. So what I did is I started to do interviews and I had the guys that you would collect. Like you talk about having Yogi Berra, if you collect Yogi Berra cards,
right,
you had a chance to call in and talk to Yogi Berra, and we talked about his cards, the years that and the sets that he was in, and then talk about his career. So I started doing those type of interviews on a local level, which took off. Then I went to a national level, 55 stations around the country.
Right.
And then from there, I jumped to television. As far as first, I went to regular, I had my own show similar to this, where I would actually have commercials. And I would make money with it. And then John Nadi, when I started to grow it, because what happened was I started to realize the relationships I made with these guys, a lot of these guys didn't make big money.
Right.
And so I started saying, listen, you're looking to make extra money. And if I can get you like a product endorsement, a commercial, or as far as an event, would you be interested in doing it? And they said yes. And then I started going out there and I started working with the casinos, doing meet and greets and doing celebrity autograph sessions and, you know, taking to do Monday night football gigs and making 20,000 and 40,000 and 60,000. I said, wow, this is pretty lucrative.
Right.
And I says, I don't have time for TV anymore.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about it is that John Nadi, who was the head of the Public Utilities Commission, came to me and said, listen, you can't. I got too many people talking about your show, because what made me unique was that if you see most of your interviews on your sports channels, right, most of the time that you see in your local, like Channel 10, 12, or 6, the interviews they do are not exclusive interviews.
Right.
I pride myself as I probably hold the record for the most exclusive interviews of most of the legends of world of sports, one-on-ones.
Right.
And what I did is I just didn't recite stats from books.
Sure.
I took the human approach.
Right.
I wanted to know what it was like the night before a big game. Did you sleep? Were you restless? Or if Lou Brock, who was the base stealing champion at the time, what went through your mind before you stole the base? Take us through a base stealing trick of Lou Brock.
Right.
You couldn't get that from anybody anywhere else, not even in books.
Right.
But I would ask that question. So I was like a vehicle where I would take my viewers on that ride to get to where they want to be.
You show the human side of these guys.
Absolutely.
And not just the statistics or what did you do to choke up on the bat to get more power on it, but you would actually get into their human side. And I think people appreciate that, because it's always good, even now with podcasts are so popular, you want those interview hosts that kind of ask the questions that the listener would ask were they to be the interviewer themselves. And you were great about doing that. So.
Absolutely. As far as I would, you know, anybody, like I said, you can go to history books. As you know, today we have phones. As far as you can Google anybody you want.
Right.
But I wanted the human side to come across. So that way my viewer, if he was a young kid with an inspiration or aspiration to be a professional athlete, instead of saying, why me, he would ask him and say to himself, why not me?
There you go.
And that was, I'm the kid that you're talking about. My father died when I was 8. My stepfather beat me, he abused me. Okay, I could have said to myself, I used all that negative energy and say, you know what, I'm disgusted with life. I don't have a shot at life. I took all that negative energy and I fueled my fire. And instead of saying, why me, why does this happen to me? I said, why not me? And sure enough, that's what helped me accomplish all my goals out there, because I believe that nothing is impossible.
Let's check out some of those accomplishments on video. We have a clip from Army of the Damned, one of the films that you were in, and we'll cue that up right now. The Army of the Damned clip. Let's check this out right here on Messier Montre. That was actually from Self Storage. I misspoke when I said Army of the Damned. But yeah, you got some pretty big heavyweights in there. You got Jonathan Silverman, our buddy David Gear, Nick Principe.
Eric Roberts. You got a kick out of me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story. After we got done filming, I said, listen, you like cars? He said, yeah. He says, you like motorcycles? He says, yeah. I said, okay, you're done filming, I'm done filming. Let's go out for the day. I'm taking out my Rolls Royce. I got a 47 Silver Wraith Rolls. I don't know if you ever seen it. It's big. And I took them to my garage. And my garage is like a kid's playland. My Rolls Royce was there. My Bentley is there. My motorcycle is there. He's jumping on them left and right. He got on the motorcycle. He used to like to ride. And he had a bad bike accident. He says, please, don't take the picture. He says, you can have a picture, but don't send it to me or my wife or whatever, because she'll kill me, because I made a promise I will never ride a bike ever again. But yeah, I love him. We spent the whole day together. He's a great guy. I took him around. Regular guy. He loves people, and at the same time, he must have made maybe 240 movies.
Yeah.
He's in everything.
Oh, I mean, Eric Roberts.
He's almost like Samuel L. Jackson, man.
Yeah,
everything.
He's intense. Let's check out some the footage from the other piece, Army of the Damned, because there's some more Billy V stuff, some great acting. Army of the Damned with Billy V. Let's check it out. No one here gets out alive, Billy V.
I still got a headache from that one.
Some good graphics. I mean, as far as not graphics, special effects with the blood and everything.
You know what's crazy about that, Mike?
What's that?
You know, it's amazing. That house, you see that we're in a house filming.
Yeah.
That's Tommy DiNucci's mother and father's house.
Yeah.
When I tell you there was more blood
right.
in that house, they came to visit the set one day. We go, you can't come in.
Right.
You just can't come in. Because I can't believe what we did to that house. I mean, what we did to that house. There was blood everywhere, floors, countertops. Right. Then on top of it, we're cutting railings on decks upstairs for Nicky Principe to fall off of. I said to them afterwards, I said, boy, you must really love your son. Because I don't know another set of parents that would allow their kid to wreck their house like we did.
Right.
And we destroyed it.
The family cat's hiding.
Oh my God. I ran through walls downstairs, and another scene as far as, like, we took down walls. But they tolerated it. They're beautiful people.
Yeah, they're great. Don and Tommy's folks, Tommy and Marie. Let's check out a final clip. We had something from Body of Proof, which was a series, ABC.
Oh, this was exciting. Yeah, Body of Proof.
Also known as Body of Evidence for a while, but Body of Proof. Let's check out this clip of Billy V on that show right now.
You don't want to know some of the mistakes I've seen.
Detective, found it on the street 2 blocks away. No cash or credit cards. He left the driver's license.
Ted Harbison, Callow Hill Street, age 35.
Let me see that.
Billy V, what I want to wrap up in the next 10, 11 minutes or so is, because by showing these clips, showing these photographs, you have such an active life. You've done so many exciting things, worked with celebrities, been a celebrity yourself to some extent, and people know who you are. And I know who you are, but to me it's like, that's when we talk about cancer, we talk about illness, health. It can really happen to everybody. And I want to know if in your journey, the last couple of years, was there anything that you learned as preventative measures for everybody watching? Because it's like, it is alarming. It's almost like anybody can get anything at any time, but is there anything that any of us can do, whether it's what you eat or getting checked out regularly, I know is an important message, but you have the floor. Talk to us about preventive things for people to help their odds with health and everything.
First of all, let's talk about life in general and then walking into this, because as I said earlier, you know, my life was a very active life. It was very full. I was very aggressive. Worked 17-hour days. I put on major events myself here in Rhode Island, brought in 18 celebrities for a golf tournament, over 2 days of events, worked on that for a year. Yeah, I mean, it took endless amount of time and work, and I no sooner get that done, I was on to another project.
Right.
If I can say anything to people out there, what's important is, you know, a pastor said to me, as far as, when do you prepare to die? Do you prepare the day you're dying? Do you prepare days before you die? Or do you prepare every day and live life like you're dying? And he made me stop and think. And at that point in time, coincidentally so, I had no choice. My life came to a sudden stop. It was like I ran myself into a wall.
Right.
Then when I found out that I had cancer, because when he said it to me at first, I says, "You're talking to me? Like, really? Like, this can't be me. It happening to me."
Right.
And the first thing is I was in a total state of shock, mentally, emotionally. And now I said to myself, now what? And First, you have to get grounded. You got to come to terms with the maker.
Right.
You got to know what it's all about, because in the end, you got to realize that's who it's all about. That's who's going to go with you. Because in the end, you ain't taking none with you. I don't know about you. I've been to many wakes. I've never seen any with pockets. That any kind of, you know,
Right.
they're not taking their jewelry. They may take a piece of jewelry with them, but they're not going to take pockets full of cash.
You're not taking your CD
They're not
collection.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. You know what I mean? So in reality, the end, it's just you and him.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to visit my faith and understand my faith and grow a relationship with him to keep me strong
Right.
and to make me understand. Then from there, as far as I had to learn a whole new way to live.
Right.
Diet is one of them. You know, funny enough, we talked about this. I have two oncologists, one at Dana-Farber and one here at Roger Williams by the name of Dr. Rathor. And when I saw him, I carried him here because, God forbid, I wasn't sure what was going to go on with the chemotherapy. If I needed to go to a hospital immediately, I couldn't drive an hour and 10, hour and 20 minutes away
Right.
to be seen. I needed somebody fast here, quick, that could see me. So I went to Roger Williams and I had him. But when he first met me, he started asking me questions. I grew up in the Silver Lake section of Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And he says, where did you grow up? And I told him Silver Lake. And he says, what was around you? I said, well, there was jewelry companies, there was manufacturers, there was different small-time companies. And I says, why do you ask that question? He says, I have to tell you something. Because I was an ex-athlete. I played sports most of my life. I didn't abuse myself with drugs. I didn't drink alcohol-wise. He says, you never had cirrhosis. You never were an IV user. You never had hepatitis. You never had cirrhosis. By right, you're not even supposed to have this. I said, so where did I get this? Like where did this come from? Like, can you tell me that? They couldn't. He says, but I will tell you this. We're doing a study right now that we used to see 2 of your cases of a carcinoma 2 times a year. We are now seeing it 2 times a month. And the study is going to show that we believe that it comes from the water.
Right.
The drinking water that's in the ground, out in the bay. As far as there's serious situations, you would not believe what's going on out there between the boat fuel that's in the water, between the stuff that they put in the water, the fish that are consuming it. People say eat fish, it's healthy for you. Believe it or not, I drink bottled water. I cook with bottled water.
Right.
So I can almost believe that, because where I grew up, I knew jewelry manufacturers, to avoid paying big fees to have the plating solutions for the plating of jewelry taken away. They would put it right into the drain of the sewer line and put it into the ground.
Right.
They would think about today, but not think about tomorrow, what the effects is going to be, or who's going to plant water, where it's going to go, and how it's going to be there. So with that being said, Mike, I mean, I looked at my probabilities and I said, wow, man, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's scary to think of that, because water's everywhere. You know, first thing they do when you sit down at a restaurant, and, would you like something to drink? I'll have water.
Right.
I have soda water with a lemon. I think twice. So, you know what I mean? I think twice, I measure twice, and cut once now. I think about what I eat. I stay away. I try to eat a lot of plant-based.
Away from meat, red meat? You stay...
Red meat, I eat very sparingly. Remember,
Yeah.
everything in moderation. I used to be a big cigar smoker. If you met
Sure.
a lot of the films I did, I used to smoke cigars. And I went from 3 cigars a day down to none. I quit completely.
That's good.
I eat, as far as a lot of salads, fruits, vegetables. I eat once in a while. I have a piece of red meat, but I have a lot of chicken. But I have to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie to you. It gets boring sometimes.
Oh, sure.
How many different ways can you have chicken? I earned my own feathers. Are you kidding?
Yeah, you are what you eat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a grilled chicken sandwich with mustard, no mayo.
It's crazy, but it's true. It sucks. But you know what? I love living.
Yeah.
And the price you pay in comparison to the sacrifice you make, you say to yourself, I'm here for another day.
Right.
And what is that worth? It's worth everything to me.
That's good.
It's worth everything, because I have so much living yet to do, and there's so much of the story yet to write. You know, I thank the good Lord for the life He's given me and the people that He surrounded me with. And like I said to you earlier, through this time of desperation and fear and total chaos, He has brought so much joy into my life and so many people and make me respect and understand and care and take life for the most purest sense. I want no people around me that's going to cause me drama. I want no people around me that's going to hug me and stab me with the other hand. I don't need it. There's nothing that I want that bad to sacrifice that utopia that I'm in. And I'm a happy guy for it. I thank the Lord for it.
Well, I want to thank you because you did a couple of months ago or several months ago, you did a video where you kind of explained a lot of things that were going on with you, and you encouraged everyone watching the video that if you've got any medical issues of any kind, don't be resistant, don't be a stoic, don't be prideful, go see your doctor. And I had some medical things that I was concerned about, so I went to see a doctor, explained to him the things I was concerned about, had all the blood tests, had all those, samples and all those things you need to do. And luckily I was okay. But I thought about you because I watched your video and I was like, man, if this can happen to Billy, this can happen to me, family members of mine and friends. And so I took your advice. So you reached one guy, me, and we got about 3 minutes left. I want to know, Billy V, this has been a mantra-full episode because everything you said has been a mantra. But is there yet another mantra? Because Messier Mantra, we asked the guests to have a mantra. Like I said, you've been supplying all types of information. But is there any final lessons you want to give to the audience?
Well, as far as Mike, I believe this happened to me for a reason. I believe God realized I had a platform that people look in my direction and people listen to what I have to say. And coincidentally so, if that's my mission, let it be. And I'm proud of the fact, like you said, you listened. I had about 5 guys that reached out to me that went out there, had themselves checked, and as far as thanked me for doing what I did. And guess what? Just so you know, and for all you people out there who follow me on Facebook, on the 22nd of August, I want you to tune in. I'm doing a Facebook Live. I keep my chemotherapy pills in a bottle with a skull and crossbone that says poison on it. And on that day, when I take my last pill at night at 5 o'clock, I'm going to do a live Facebook Live, and I'm busting that glass container live as a symbolism of the end of my chemotherapy.
All right.
So that's where I'm going. So if you remember that, make a date, August 22nd, be there, 6 o'clock. We're going to put this behind us all together. Because as I said to you earlier, we're in this all together. I speak for everyone. And if I can help you, reach out to me. If you have questions, reach out to me. Let me help you as far as, because unfortunately, when I had this happen, I had nobody. Yeah. So I'm here for everybody.
It's amazing what you've been through and how you've come out fighting like you always have. And people who are interested in even more about the Billy V story, I'd say just go through the Messier Mantra Chronicles, because you're right there on MikeMessier.com on the Messier Mantra page. You can find the Billy V, Mike Messier Mantra, just on Vimeo, YouTube, it's there. People can watch our earlier episodes to find out even more about what you've been through and how you grew up and surviving tough circumstances to be your own man, which a lot of people have a hard time ever doing, to be quite honest, because they allow their environment to dictate the type of person they're going to be, male or female. And but you didn't allow that. You did your own thing, which I'm always excited to hear about.
Remember one thing, Michael. Heroes are remembered, but legends live forever. And that's something I never forgot when I was told that. And that's something that I try to do. I try to do things that nobody else has done. Yeah. If I was the same, I wouldn't be me.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I ask people to be unique, be themselves, but know who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They say fake it till you make it. No, I ain't faking nothing. I'm as real as they come. I like you, I like you. I don't like you, you're going to know about it.
Right.
I want real people around me that really care. And if the rest of the world can take that attitude and give somebody a care and hold the door and say God bless or whatever may it be, this world can be a better place.
Well, Billy V, I want to thank you for being on the show, my friend.
Mikey, thank you. God bless you, buddy.
You're an inspiration.
Thank you, brother.
I want to thank Billy V for being on this episode of Messier Mantra and encourage everybody, if you do feel like you have a health issue that you're just even concerned about, see your doctor. Learn from Billy V's experiences. We'll see you next time on Messier Mantra.